Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Stephen Chong, and he's going to tell us about his near-death experience, and it was just 3 years ago. Hi, Stephen.
Good morning, Peggy, and thank you for having me on your program. It's a great pleasure.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, but I've got to tell you, the experience in some ways can be seen behind me, although not that clearly, but what you see behind me is a number of louver windows. We're situated here about 5 meters off the ground. And as you do when you get old and grey haired and silly like me, you get up and clean the gutters out. Now, I've done it many times before, but this time the ladder slipped. So the ladder's gone through all the louver windows, smashed glass everywhere. I'm I'm in a screaming heap on the ground, can't feel my legs, and I'm thinking I'm in real trouble here. But I've got to tell you that the gods were in favour and with me on the morning, because we're very remote here. And this is a Saturday morning. And my wife happened to be here on that morning. Now, normally she's away doing things. But just this morning she was here. So, oh, you're like, Camilla. And so she was able to come and to the rescue. But I must say the NDE experience was not. I see it as like a pivot point, a turning point in life, because it changed my direction completely. But the reality of the experience didn't occur at that time. It occurred subsequent to the rehabilitation, which took me. I was on a bed couch for 3 months, couldn't move. But what I experienced from a near death point of view occurred subsequent to the actual experience. Would you like me to go through
Sure.
kind of well what just as a bit of background? Now, I've written by that stage 5 books and screenplays and things, and I said, I'm not doing anymore. I am I'm done. No, don't.
Had you been writing about?
Well, what happened subsequently, because I turned off the channel. I'm not doing anymore. But this after the rehabilitation, when I could start to move again, I was like in my head pounding away, and I had this given this title with the Afterlife, a journey too. And I said, leave me alone, go away. I'd say I'd switched off.
What was the two
But
for?
say again?
At the afterlife, the journey two?
Yeah, that's correct. I
What was
had
the two
that in my.
for?
Well, that was that's the whole title of that was the title that was going through my head,
Okay.
and I was saying, "Leave me alone, go away."
I know that feeling.
I don't want to do anymore. Uh, but eventually, I relented. I said, "Okay, you, you to the universe. You want me to write? You have to show me the afterlife. What do I know? I know nothing. I'm just a dude. So you have to show me." But I've bought in. I said, okay, you want me to write? You show me what it is. And from there, because when I write, I'm a discipline. So I sat, and even from the first time I sat, the the experience was extraordinary. Uh, I, I was shown things. I heard the music, the heard the dialogue. I had no storyboard. I had no characters. I had nothing to start this story with. But it was all there. It was all kind of like waiting for me.
Yeah.
And so when I wrote, it was like taking dictation. It was like somebody speaking in my ear, and I saw the pictures so so clearly. It was like taking dictation, but having to interpret what I saw, because it was like a, how do I describe it? Being on a scenic railway tour and taken through the different areas of heaven. And I'm writing this stuff going, whoa. And I would read the, the stuff after I'd written it and go, where did that come from? And
Do you
that's
remember
the
it
whole,
at all as you wrote it, or did you remember right after it happened? Or
no, it was all there as I would. How would I best describe it? And I don't like the word channeling, because but it was like being tuned in, or just hearing the words and seeing the pictures. It was like a panorama, like a cinema. And I had,
but it
and
was
I
the
just had.
memory of your near death experience.
It was like being shown. It was consequential of the experience, because if I had not have had the experience, I would never have written the book.
Okay.
I
Can
would
you give
never have opened.
the experience so we know what you mean?
Well, when the experience happened, and my understanding of a near-death experience is that it changes your course. It's given to you to say, Stephen, you are on the wrong pathway. You have got more important things to do. The world needs to hear something that, or be shown something that you've got, and you have to turn from this path by choice. All choice. You can stay doing what you're doing, but the near-death experience was there for you to realise the value of who you are and what you are meant to be doing in the time left. Now, I'm so I'm older now. I'm 65 years old. So, and one of the peak experiences from falling off the ladder was the realization that time is limited. You know what I mean? You can't waste time, Stephen. You've got to do this stuff. Get on with it. And that was the purpose of the experience. And then, having been open to the gifts, consequential, because my other understanding of a death experience is that it opens you to new skills. You are imbued with new talents, that God-given talents. You've had this experience. The universe, God, I'm going to give you these skills. You turned away from whatever task you had, errant tasks before. Now you're on the right pathway. Here are these skills. This is what, the gifts I will give you. That's, to me, was a great learning from the experience.
Okay.
Pretty amazing. Yeah, I understand you've been through similar, and you look back on the experience and go, "Thank you."
So was you out of your body as soon as you hit the ground, or what happened?
I couldn't say that. No, because I I remember distinctly thinking, "Oh, I'm done here. I'm out," because I couldn't feel my bottom half, and but it was only over the next, I don't know, probably a couple of days that the feeling started to come, that life started to come back in me. And as I say, I mean, if my wife had not been there at the time, I'd be dead. So let's say it's an experience that I will forever treasure, but somewhat not in keeping with the where you have like an accident or something, and you are taken up to different realms. No, it wasn't that for me. That was, it was like a door opening that opened for me in the subsequent months, that enabled these visions, these stories to come forth. So it wasn't a traditional NDE in from that point of view, but it's one that I will forever treasure.
Okay. So you hit the ground, you was out of your body, and then
Well, then it was medical interventions. No, come and got me and took me to hospital,
Okay. And then
and then I
months
was rehabilitated.
later, then this stuff come to you. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yes.
So what kind of things started coming? Were they visions or memories or?
Oh, I, I can let me give you a couple of scenarios, but and remember, this is what come through was in the form of story. So, and perhaps I better give you a bit of background to the story, which will give an animation to it. It's about a young man who, in life, and it's a first person narrative, so I'm hearing his voice. I'm writing his story, and in life, he was, as a young man, he was abused under the auspices of the clergy, and he subsequently took his own life, and he was stuck in. I saw him. He was stuck in these mists of purgatory because of the guilt and the shame and the anger he felt. So he was stuck there and couldn't move, couldn't evolve into heaven. And he was only released. He met there in these. I can only describe them as mists, as purgatory. He was met by the bishop of the see under whose insouciance he was abused. And it was the catalyst of their relationship, the forgiveness that they found in one another, that enabled them to move through this purgatory and into heaven. And they were each shown different aspects of the heavenly realm. And that's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
So let me give you one, only one. There's many, but one instance that comes to mind. I saw this huge Colosseum arena, like a big stadium, and it was filled with these beautiful souls of the colours I could of the rainbow don't even do it justice. This whole arena is filled with souls in communion, and they're all chanting. And in the middle of this arena were these lounge recliners. And into the stadium were brought these souls who were deformed, decrepit souls, as if they'd been, really great melodies in illness, and they were brought in by these seraphim, angels, and they were made to recline on these lounges. And into the arena come this angel being, and he raised his hands up, and it was like a magnetic ball that he wove in his hands, and he was bringing the energy from all these beautiful souls that were in the arena, and he was coalescing them into this magnetic ball. And from the ball, this light, healing light, shone into these beings on the lounges, and they were from that, they were reformed, they were renewed. It was like their burdens had been taken away, and that they before being deformed, they were now totally renewed by virtue of this angelic being and his light. And I'm sort of seeing this and going, whoa, it's amazing. But what I learnt subsequently from seeing that was that souls that enter into heaven do not retain melodies that are imposed by others. So what another person has done to that soul does not bear forth, if that makes sense. They are relieved of burdens. So if I do bad things to you, Peggy, that's not your fault. You are totally relieved of that. I'm the one that bears the consequences of those actions on earth. So these souls were totally renewed and blessed and to go forward, in heaven. So that's just one. there are a number of others, but that was one that stands paramount in my mind, that how souls are loved and nurtured in the heavenly realm. I mean, there are plenty of others if you want me to go through, but that's one that stands out.
It's interesting. I hear a lot about stadium and arena and things like that, like you're describing.
Well, let me give you another one as point of comparison. There was this character. His name was Athar. Was taken to a school, and if you can picture not just an elementary school, these are beautiful buildings with colonnades and surrounded in beautiful auras of healing. And he enters this school, and it was a school for children. So and what I saw and learned from that was children that leave the earthly realm early through, from whatever means, are taken to this school where they are totally loved and nurtured into their prime. And that's from young fledglings through to, older. But what I saw is these beautiful beings nurturing these young souls with, I can barely describe for you the love that I felt at the time of writing.
Sorry, I don't know why the sun's coming out like this. It's never done that.
You are surrounded in aura.
It's never done that. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, we'll see there. Yeah, you have this beautiful ball of light above
You get
your
rid of
head.
Freddie, please. He's making noise. Yeah.
And it's got a line going right.
Yeah, I see it. It's just like,
You see it?
yeah, it's like kind of like a rainbow now going up.
Yeah. And yes, you've got a little rainbow underneath you.
Yeah, I've done like
How's
200
that?
days. It's never done that all times a day. So,
So
okay.
anyway,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, that's okay. I mean, but what else can I tell you about that? But the knowledge was so beautiful to know that young fledglings, children that have left the earthly plane early, are so nurtured by the Father's love that it's if the grace of such knowledge could only help people that have lost, and I could only imagine the grief of losing a child, but to know that they are so nurtured by angelic beings with the Father's love through into their prime. And the other thing which was evident from that experience that I remember was that even if the earthly bond between the child and the parent is fractured, the love of the Father nurtures that child beyond the experience that we could ever know. So they're not cast off because that parental bond is broken. That child is so loved by the Father, and all the angelic hosts that support that beautiful child being. That's what I saw. They're the things that I wrote about, and that's why it was such a profound experience. I would never know this stuff, Peggy. It was like, just a total revelation for me to see these things, and it changed my life.
What was your other books about before your near-death experience?
I would I'd call myself a mind, body, spirit, a self-help book writer, but based on life experience and what I've learned, but nothing to do the heavenly realms. But what do I know? I know a bit more now, but previously, no. A storyteller, yes, and a very disciplined writer, yes. There are things that I do to enhance the writing process, but to know that this whole story come out as a description of heaven. If you had have said to me, Stephen, you would write about this stuff, I would have said you are totally nuts. But there we are.
What did you think about near-death experiences before this happened?
Well, it's very interesting, Peggy, because now talking to lovely people like you, and I'm reading your book, by the way, it has been quite the experience. So now I'm fully engaged. I'm learning more, talking to, on a couple of forums to learn of people's other experiences. But the key difference for me, and I think I mentioned before, Peggy, that or the commonalities between each people's near-death experiences are that it turns you from errant tasks. It points you, it's a pivot point that points you away from what you were doing before to a higher purpose. We've got a specific purpose to fulfill, and then the universe, God, gives you the tools, the extra, I hate to say not supernatural, but other gifts, other powers to enable you to realize that purpose for the benefit of others whilst we're in this lifetime. That's, for me, the true realization of a near-death experience. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Did this flow like easy, like you got it done? I mean, since it was right there.
Oh my goodness, it's a good question. It was. How could I describe a cascade? It was like and I mentioned before, every time I sat, it was just there. I never knew from one writing sitting to the next what I was going to write, what I was going to see. No idea. But every time I sat, it was just there. And I would sort of write a piece and then finish and look back at it and go, oh my God, where did that come from? So it was a gift beyond the explaining, really.
I know when I wrote my book and I would read some of it to my husband later, he'd look at me and he said, what did you do with my wife?
Well, see, there you go. And like I mentioned, your book is just totally extraordinary. So I commend you and the courage to write what you've written is just truly amazing. I would never have the courage to write what you wrote.
It's actually used in the social work department in University of Kentucky for their students interested in going in child welfare.
So it should be. I only received it probably a week or so ago, and I'm probably 2/3 of the way through, and I'm not a fast reader. I'm thinking, oh God, poor Peggy, the experiences she's gone through. And then I'll go, oh man, she has just risen above. She is right in the light here and moving forward. And it's been fantastic to read.
Yeah, this guy the other day, he's reading it, and he said he used to always love all the Holocaust books, stories, and things. He was a big fan of that. He says, but I got reading yours, and he said, I forget what pages. I was like, I couldn't hardly go any further. He had to take a break. He said that was so horrible. As you're a kid, you don't realize that you're going to write a book someday, and somebody's going to, God, that's pretty bad, because at the time, it's a crap.
There are pages there that I'm cringing for you and go, oh, you poor thing.
Thank you.
The essence of it, and what I perceived from my own writings and learnings about the afterlife and these NDE experiences is that the door is opened for you. It's like, and then God shines through, and the gifts He gives you start to shine through. Whereas before they were, they're behind all the trauma and the challenge. Now the door opens, and you go, whoa. And the other great thing about that, it's similar to sort of writing my own book, is you don't know what you don't know. So you learn, some stuff comes through and you go, whoa, that's amazing. But you don't, then there's all this other stuff that follows.
Yeah,
But it's
I
having
didn't
the
know what
door
a lot of
open
this
makes
stuff,
it, yeah.
the meaning. Like when I very first started first paragraph, I kind of thought, where do I start? And I thought, well, I'll start at the beginning, in the very first paragraph. And I thought, this makes no sense. How could a baby be sitting in the baby bed for you know how to talk, be praying to God, and remember this white light, and this life, and then that makes no sense. But something just told me you don't have to understand it. Somebody else will.
Yes,
Just report. Don't have to
correct.
understand. Just report, and that's what I did. I just reported.
Yes, there you go. That's exactly right. Yeah, it, it's almost as if um, you're telling people not what to believe, but telling them what is true. There's a big difference, and let that them their experiences from reading the book, which just like I've had, and you go, "Wow, that's amazing." But what it does, as I understand it, it unlocks something mystical within the self, and you go, and it opens up these doors. For me, it opens up these doors of empathy, and go, "Oh, Peggy, you're amazing." To come through all of that, but that's what it does to the reader. It opens up those channels to connect one with the other and go, "Oh, I'm so I feel what this person is going through, but I'm also grateful for the experiences that I've had because they do the same." So it opens up these channels for us. But as I said before, it takes courage to write this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Before, I told my kids that somebody told me they sent, I could send it to a publisher and is, waiting to see the word if he was going to publish it. And my boy's like, you'll be sued. I'm like, well, I changed the names. They said, like, you'll be sued. Because they knew my ex's family. I mean, that's their family, their uncles and
Mm.
dad and everybody. And it's been not 5 years. I
Well,
haven't heard a word. So they knew it was
well, there
true.
you go.
So,
Yeah.
what can you say? They can't sue you if it's true, right?
No, that's right. Yeah, yeah. But as I said before, it takes utmost courage to express these things, and we should be eternally grateful that you've done that, which is because it's an amazing read.
Thank you. And so, how did this go on with your book? Was just like you said with the clergy. Was that the whole book story, or did you stay, or did they keep coming different stories of people, or how'd that
No,
go?
no, no. It was a continuum, Peggy. The 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 two characters, because the initially when they were able to forgive one another, that was the door that opened the rest of the experiences for them. They were able to move out of this. They were, as I say, they were both stuck in purgatory because of what they had done. Because as I understand it, the ultimate one of the laws of heaven is what you sow, so shall you reap. So they've had to forgive one another for what they did to one another on earth that enabled them to move out of this state of mm, these mists, this purgatory, and then into higher realms. And their involvement led them slightly in different directions, but they come back together. For example, let me give you an example of that. The the this bishop was taken into the nether realms. Oh, I can only begin. I'll try and describe what I saw. So he gets taken through this dark doorway, this roadway, and it's like desolation, like a bushfire. That's only taken through this road and into this cavern where there are these spinning vortices of power. Is the best way. That's what I saw. So it was the best way I could describe it. And there are these souls that are entrapped in these vortices, and they're totally decrepit. But it's the vortices are not the Father's judgment, are trapped because they've done bad things. They're trapped by choice. Um, the seven deadly sins, lust, greed, envy, traps that soul by choice, and they're unable to escape. That's what I saw. So they're in these big power vortices, and some of them were trying to get out, but they were pulled back by other souls trapped in this. Let's say, for one, for example, they're trapped in lust, so they can't get out by choice. They're stuck there. But there were these angels in waiting around each of these vortices, whereby they're waiting for the soul to repent, forgive themselves. I want, and when that soul was able to do that, the angels took them away to nurture, to where, I don't know, but that's what I saw. So hell, if you want to call it that, was very real, or nether regions as another descriptor, but it was not vindictive and eternal. So they're not trapped in there for eternity, but they're stuck by choice, by virtue of the things that they've done on earth, but held in rapture to that lust or greed or envy or malice or wrath or whatever it might be. So they're stuck. And until they repent, then the angels can act upon the soul and take them forth. That's one of the another one of the amazing things I saw. I would never, again, like I said before, I would never know of anything about that, but that's exactly what I saw. Amazing stuff. And and the experience for me from that, in writing that, is to know, whoa, if that doesn't turn you from errant tasks on earth, nothing will. To be stuck in these vortices by virtue of our envy or lust or greed or whatever it might be, would be now just too frightening. I couldn't even imagine. It just turns you completely away from that and go, oh, I better be a good boy. So that's just one of the other.
What did your wife make of this happening?
That's a very good question. She's the most beautiful of creatures and very supportive of my idiosyncrasies. I'm very fortunate to be surrounded, and I include my wife in this, but I have nurtured by family, beautiful mother and sister and stuff. So I get lots of really kind of cool feedback from them. In fact, I'll have to ask my wife what she thinks. So it's a good question.
Where's she at? She over there? No,
dear, what do you think of the book?
Well, my husband didn't read all of mine. He's just not a reader of books, That's okay.
Yeah. Well, Peggy, as you probably know, the writing of a book is like having a beautiful child, but another beautiful child. But the marketing and all that sort of stuff becomes a little bit burdensome. But one of the great things about writing a book is to talk to really nice people, like yourself. But for me, I'm a bit like Samson with his hair, because that's where his strength came from. But in my case, my family is my strength. Beautiful wife and loving family. So that's where I'm totally nurtured. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Got a lot of women in your life, huh?
Well, I'm lucky about that too. In fact, I think about that. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, God, you helped me realise a lot of things. So the whole thing has been an amazing journey.
Okay. And what's it called again?
The Afterlife, a journey to.
A journey to, as in T-O?
Journey to. Yeah.
Okay, journey to.
I don't know if you can see that. Is that any
Okay.
good?
Okay. When you said that earlier, I thought you meant like two, like was the first one. Like what are you talking?
No, T-O.
Yeah, I get it now.
The Afterlife, comma, a journey to. Yeah, that was a title I had after that. The experience of falling off the ladder. That was it. That title was going through my head, and I couldn't get rid of it.
What were your injuries?
Oh, I fractured my neck.
Ouch.
Ouch. Yeah. Um, yeah. So that was it took me 3 months really to, I was, again, I was touched by the gods, Peggy. In reality, I should be dead because 5 meters off a ladder and there's all this glass around me. And the only cut I got was like a little cut on my arm. But I'm lying prone on the ground, as I said before. I couldn't feel my legs, and I thought, I'm buggered. This is the end. But touched by the gods, here we are, and I'm all things functional and all good. And
So you just was like out of your body just for a moment? Like, did you
I,
look down?
yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But when I've come to, I've gone not being able to feel the bottom half. I go, trouble. But yeah, here we are. Here we stand by the grace of God. We all come through our little trials and all to the better. And as we mentioned before, it's opened these pathways that I would never in a million years have
Yeah.
managed to
I was talking to
experience.
somebody the other day, and they were wanting to write a book, and they were not sure. I think they've been working on it, and just didn't have a lot of confidence. And I said, "Well, they weren't afraid it wouldn't be a success." And I said, "A book just opens doorways for you. A lot of people wonder, how it's going to." But I said, "But it opens other doorways, speaking or whatever. It just opens doorways that it never would before." I didn't realize that.
Well, that's very true, and as we mentioned before, it takes a significant amount of courage. You're putting yourself, as you have done so profoundly, you are putting yourself out there for the world to see.
Yeah.
And some people have kind gifts of nurture, and others have brickbats
And
that they
I
hit you
told him
with.
too. I said, when you've passed on, it'll still be here on Earth. You never know.
Oh,
Come on, pick it up. I said, that's an amazing thing to leave behind.
it's an interesting point, that, Peggy, because you don't know how profound the experience, and it's like that ripple effect, isn't it? You drop that book pebble into the pond, and it reaches so many others in so many ways. And as the author of that book, you really don't know how those ripples go.
Well, I tell you what, I was shocked that my main audience was middle aged men. I never would have
Is that
guessed.
right?
Yes, I was shocked. My husband's uncle read it, and he was going on about it. I was like, "You read that?" And then my husband's business agent, like he's in charge of like plumbers and pipe fitters the whole state. And he
Mm.
said he read my book, and every time he'd see me for a few months after that, he'd stop and look at me, and he said, "I couldn't stop crying." He said, "I have to get a box of tissues." And here's this guy, give these speeches all the time. And, like, I can
Yeah, yeah,
believe that he could feel compassion for that little girl, And it's such a
there you
warm
go.
feeling, especially for some reason for me, for middle-aged men to read it and feel compassion for this little girl. I
Yeah,
guess maybe it's kind of like getting a little bit of fatherly love, that I didn't get as a child.
yeah,
I
yeah,
always
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
fatherly love, father's love. And so it's kind of nice and it makes me feel good about men that they can feel compassion for a child, a little girl, a teenage girl that was raped and kidnapped, a young mother, domestic violence, because it speaks volumes about men, I think, that can read that
Mm.
and care.
Well, there
Because we
you
have
go.
typical ideas sometimes of men.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But and I think I mentioned before, that's what it did. Because I'm still I'm a bloke, but I'm only halfway through or thereabouts. But that's what it did for me. It opened up that portal of enhanced sympathy and feeling for that. It was as if that child that you wrote about, I wanted to say, "Come here," and
Thank you.
yeah,
What was strange when I
it's
was writing is, before when I would tell somebody, which they never wanted to hear it, something about my abuse, my past, and I would read it off like a grocery list, just like flat effect, just this happened, this happened, this happened, like,
mm,
done. but when I was writing it, after a while, um, I would stop and sit back and I'd just cry a little for her,
mm,
thinking, how did my mother do that to her? I was able to like put it as her instead of just carrying all this inside and trapped,
yes,
and like somehow it's my fault that this, and then but be able to as I was writing it, and I got to as a mother now, I could look back at that child and feel almost
yes,
like I was mothering, this little girl that I was.
yes, 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 yes. Well,
Strange.
there again, profound more than strange. I mean, that's the father opening up the portal, just of that nurture to recognise the love that you can look back on that experience, not with shame or regret or guilt, but you look at it with love, for that beautiful being child that you are and that you were. It's almost as if it crosses, time gets folded, doesn't it? And in fact, the last night when I was reading part of your book, that's exactly what happened. You had an experience where I don't know what age, but you felt the love for that child. It was as if you were brought back to being that 6-year-old child that was suffering these terrible events.
I think what
But
the part was, I don't know if you got to that part, it was 16. And I had the right next door was an elementary school, and I had my little baby brother that was pushing him in the swing, which is a common thing I did. We walked leisurely back home, and all hell broke loose. My stepdad said that I was with some man, and he was going to go take off in his car and go kill him.
mm,
What are we talking about? Nobody was around. I was right here pushing my little brother. This crazy, his drunk. He's a raging alcoholic, right? And so he took off, and my mom come over to me, and she looked me right in the eyes, and she said, "You mark my words. Anything happens to him, you don't have to worry about Don killing you." She said, "I'll kill you myself with my bare hands."
wow, wow,
And I believed her. And
mm,
I went and sat in my bedroom, shut the door, and I sat on the bed real stiff, waiting for my mom to come kill me. And I thought, how will she do it? Will she use a bat, a knife? Will she strangle me? Will she beat me to death? How? And I knew I wouldn't raise a hand to touch her because that's my mom. I love my mom. And it was such an
yeah,
odd feeling to sit there, love someone as you're waiting for them to open that door and fly into you and kill you.
mm,
And and so I'm just writing, what happened, and all of a sudden I stopped, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so terrible.
mm,
And I just never did that before. It's like I didn't bring the sympathy to myself. I would look at
mm,
other people to see, what do you think about that? And they would just like ignore me. But at this moment, I was like, oh my God, that's awful. That I sat there. That's pitiful. And I
yeah,
loved her so much. And I just
mm,
sat there just straight. I mean, like I didn't sneak out the window. I didn't, like pat myself. I just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was waiting for my mom to come through the door and kill me.
Mm.
And that's horrible. It's
Extraordinary
sad.
experience. I see.
It's sad, and
Yeah.
it's amazing the love that we can sit there and love someone
Mm-hmm.
that I felt no anger towards her. I never did against my mom because it was my mom.
Mm.
Strange.
Well, at the end of the day, these are horrible, profound experiences, but it appears to me from the reading your book, is that forgiveness, because forgiveness is at the heart of our ultimate realization. So if we're able to look back on those experiences and go, yeah, okay, that was pretty bad. However, I forgive you, I love you, that opens up to all sorts of beautiful things
Yeah.
in heaven. Um,
I'll tell you.
and just up, yeah, go
When
ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, just to give you a sneak preview of how that forgiveness helps that souls evolve. I got taken to how do I describe it? If you can think of a Roman or Greek um building where you got the huge columns and
Coliseum.
beautiful no, not a coliseum, but it was like a huge hall, and in of marble, beautiful alabaster colours, big stairway leading up. And these two characters, the bishop and Athar, were taken up to this master. Now, this master, and I must tell you something interesting. Throughout the book, when a character came forth, I'd go, "What's this character's name?" And immediately I'd have a name. I knew what it was, whoever it was, and so I'd write it down. In this case, I saw this master, and I go, "What's his name?" I had nothing. I didn't hear anything, so I asked again, "What's his name?" And I got nothing. So all I had to do was call him the master, because that's all I got. But these characters were taken to this master, and it was like being showered in love. This being is robed in beautiful white and gold, and young, in the prime, not old and big beards and all that sort of stuff, but young and vibrant. And he took these two characters up to the higher realms to like being on top of a mountain to see what was underneath. Peggy, I can barely describe for you what I saw and heard. The colours and the music that infiltrated everything, was just part of everything. And I heard this like beautiful music in my head. I couldn't write about that, but the colours were like 100 times the colours of a rainbow. But they were able to be taken, these two characters, taken to these higher realms by virtue of the forgiveness of what they've gone through. They've forgiven one another. They've learned, and they've been able to cast away those burdens of, "Oh, I don't like you," or "You're no good," or all those past experience. So they're able to rise above all that and get taken to these higher realms and shown these heavenly expanse. But that's all consequential, to my way of thinking, of forgiveness that they had for others that had treated them poorly. Quite amazing.
So did you make like every chapter a different story from what you were seeing on these visions, or how did it flow?
Yeah, pretty much like that, Peggy. That's pretty much the again, I just had to follow the stream of what I saw and heard, because I had no idea where I was going, where I was being taken. So each chapter pretty much describes a different portal of heaven. For example, let me give you another example, if it's okay. They got taken to the pair of them got taken to a school, just like a regular school. And I go, "What's this?" And it was what I learned. It was like a school of guardian angelship, where souls are taught to be guardian angels. So we each, what we know, like the one sitting over your right shoulder, we each have a guardian angel. But souls are specifically taught how to nurture we on earth and guide us through whatever we're going through. And what I learned and what I know now is that guardian angel is there for us all the time, no separation. So we can call on them whenever we need, to say, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble, I need help," or whatever. But they're there all the time. No time and space in any of this. That guardian angel is there for us to guide and to support, but we've just got to be open to listening to what they're telling us.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
tricky.
cool stuff, huh?
Huh? Was the last part?
It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That's a hard thing to do, is learn to listen. Like you were saying, no, 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 or I don't want to. Or
But it takes the experience to open that channel, is to my way of thinking, because I closed, as I said before, I'd closed off. I'd said, "I'm done," no more. But it takes that profound experience that pivots us to the next level, that experience that's waiting for us.
So is that what you did? Like you was getting these visions, then you said, no more, I'm done, and then they stopped?
I, 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 I don't know what the future holds, Peggy.
Okay.
But what I can tell you, though, is from, because, as you well know, these writings are cathartic in many ways. They open up portals within our, for the benefit, written for the benefit of others, but they open up portals within ourselves. So many things have occurred within me, consequential of learning the things I now know. Let me give you an example of that. I've written this book and seen all these things, I've written it, and I go, hang on, there's more, there's something more, there's something I've missed. So a few months ago, I sat down and thought, well, what is it that I've missed? And so I've read the book, and I've read it 1,000 times, and I've read it again and gone, there are specific laws of heaven and earth embedded in this writing. So I've gone through and searched for what they are. And I come up with 14 or 15 of these laws of heaven and earth.
Oh.
I've gone, whoa, that's pretty amazing. And those laws have had a profound effect on how I now live my life. So, example, now I have no fear of death, none, zero. When the time has come, I'll happily embrace what goes forward. But that's because of what I've learned.
Can you tell me what those laws are?
I can give you a couple.
Okay.
Let me give you, in fact, I put them somewhere. Here we go. Law number 1, fear not, you are never without the love of the Father. That's pretty cool. Let me give you another one. What you have cause to effect in your fellow man is what declares your place in heaven.
Say that again.
What you have cause to effect in your fellow man is what declares your place in heaven.
Mm-hmm. So these people think they got revenge and think they really got away with something.
No. Let me give you, I think I mentioned this one before. Forgiveness is at the heart of your ultimate realization.
Forgiveness is at the heart
of your ultimate realization. So in forgiving others for what they have done to you and forgiving yourself for what you have or have not done, untethers you from that rock that holds you back and lets you fly and lets you evolve into heavenly realms, is my understanding of that.
I hear that a lot, say Christianity, the Bible and stuff. And I'm like, but some people never feel bad about anything they do. So it's probably easy to forgive themselves, for hurting people if I don't care if they did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at the end of the day, we're not a human being on 2 legs that hasn't done something stupid and something that they've ultimately regret. But you've got to, forgive yourself. But an extension to that maybe, as I think about it, is to realise how divine that we are a divine spark from the heavenly realm, a teardrop from the eye of God. That's our ultimate realisation. And we can realise that when we forgive ourselves and know that we make mistakes, but we are that teardrop from the eye of the Father.
Okay.
Let me give you one more before we move. How's this?
Yeah.
In heaven, the emperor wears no clothes. Now, that's a strange law.
Mm-hmm.
In heaven, the emperor wears no clothes. To me, that's saying no matter your station, whether you're the king or the pauper, or you're the CEO or the dishwasher, what I saw, I must say, in the mist in the realms of purgatory, was you were looking in the mirror. And it doesn't matter your station, your soul is bared, and it's what you have done to others that causes you your pathway therefrom.
Some NDEers will say they saw God's face. They could say the color of his eyes and color of his clothes and his belt and all these things. And I just kind of, okay. I can't imagine that. But, when I saw God, it was, just a faint outline in bright white light. I didn't see definition of him. I did of Jesus, though. I saw a definition of him from behind, standing there waiting on me to join him to go down to earth. But and then his feet there towards the end, I was sobbing at the floor of heaven, begging, or crying, upset. But yeah, I don't know. Everybody's different.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably pretty true. But but ultimately, and I've read like you, I've read about those experiences. But the love of heaven will appear to you in the form that you recognise.
I think so.
So, if we are Christian, that you might have certainly a vision of Jesus. If you're a Hindu, he's probably going to appear to you in a different form, but it's all the same love. It's the love of the Father coming to you in some sort of vision that is recognisable for you, and the one you can embrace.
Yeah. Some people kind of describe the same thing I saw in heaven, a bright white light and its outline. But I said that has to be God. One is sitting up front and center, but they say it was something else. It's what they can perceive it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I feel like it is what it is, regardless of what we think.
Correct. Yes, and it is that individual's truth as well. But it gets back to I think to the point that when you come, you're given that choice of moving into that heavenly realm and saying, okay, well, I'm done here, but I'm moving. I'm dead, and the cord gets severed, or by choice, the Father says you can go back. But when you go back or come back, this is what I'm saying before, you are realigned to you have a specific purpose to fulfill, and I will give you, God, the Heavenly Father, will give you these skills and attributes to enable you to realize that purpose. How that appears to you in terms of vision, whether Jesus or Krishna or whatever it is, the same things I think apply, that you come back and get aligned to that. You write your book, you describe your opus, you stand on top of the mountain and declare your truth for others to benefit from. That's really, to me, what the experiences are all about, to come back and to take you from errant path to one of truth and realization.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That's all pretty amazing, isn't it, Peggy?
Yeah.
So tell me, are you going? Is there another book in you?
I don't think so. I've been kind of thinking like today. I kind of feel like my life this week, I feel like I've started a new chapter and I feel like I'm getting ready to go on this journey, and I kind of feel like I want to start documenting now. Instead of like, the first book, it was all memories from my whole life, starting from when I was little. But I kind of feel like, even if I don't do anything with it, I just want to maybe start a journal, just kind of documenting what's going on.
Ah, no, there's a thought, isn't it? Yeah. Apropos to that, let me give you one other experience from that I saw in the writing of this book, and it's called the Abode of Reunion. Now, this abode of reunion was, if I can describe it, was like a vast plain where there were lots of angelic being souls in heaven, and there were these mists alongside of that, mists of purgatory, and then over these mists, with all these silver cords, and I'm going, what the? What I understand is when we sleep, we are able to connect with souls that are wait. So, and the silver cord links us to somebody we
I've
love
wondered that.
in the heavenly realm. So we are able, when we sleep, we're able to go over these myths and sit with these souls that have departed and learn from them. They tell us stuff about life or move us forward or give us guidelines or something or other. And then of course that when you wake up, because the cord hasn't severed, you come back into your body. And therein lies back to the journaling. So when we awaken, oft times, if we've got a dilemma or a problem or something, we wake up and go, "Oh, I've got it. That's the answer." Oh. But that's where it comes from. We've been to the heavenly realms so we can come back with the knowledge that, oh, well, that's cool. Oh, there's a solution to a problem. But that's where a journal comes in. We can, and you probably experience it too. In the middle of the night, you wake up and you go, "Oh, I've got that," and you need to write it down.
Yeah, mine's usually early in the morning. I've been waking up 2 in the morning here. Like it's my routine now. I wake up two in
Yeah,
the morning. It'll be a couple hours before I get up moving around, but I'm just up, enjoying the quiet.
there you go. Yeah, but again, maybe if you believe what I've seen, that's where it comes from. So we're taken across to that abode of reunion where we meet up with these souls that are here to help, given guidance, and then of course we wake up and go, "Oh, I've got that. Oh, I know the answer."
Yeah,
That's pretty
I
cool.
get a lot of answers in the mornings.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So
Yeah. As the
profound
day goes
experiences.
on, it's like light bulbs going dim.
Yeah. 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 And that to me links into that first law of heaven. We are never without the love of the Father. So, uh, we do just call, say, call, then listen. Hello, you there? Oh, yes. Here's the answer. But the time when we sleep, and then perhaps journal is one of those times that we're we haven't got all the psychobabble in our head and all the agenda of what we've got to do during that or whatever. I've got to feed the kids or do this, do that.
Yeah.
That's all shut down. Um, so that channel becomes pure. It's open. So we can ask a question like, "Hey, I need help. What do I do?" Knowing that we are never without the love of the Father enables that question to come down the channel, if you will.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add that you didn't get to go over?
Oh, Peggy, I've burdened you with lots of things
Oh, been nice talking
that
to
I
you.
learned. So I thank you for listening, and I thank your listeners for listening. Um, and we look forward to. I'll look forward to reading the rest of your very profound book. And if you permit me, I'll send you a little text or something
I
with
would
some
love
more
that.
feedback.
I love it.
um, so no, I much appreciate your time and that of your viewers, and I'd say look forward to reading the rest of your book.
Yes, I love hearing what people think. I've had people like every few chapters or so, tell me what they're thinking. It's like I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah, well, I've got, I reckon I'm going to say about, I don't know, 2/3 or something of the way through. So another week or so will see me to end.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. All the best.